All right, welcome back to the All Things Everything podcast presented by Gulf Coast Smoke. My name is Alonzo,
I'm Sabrina.
and this is episode 2. So, it's a long weekend. It's been a long weekend. We just got home from having a family vacation. We were in El Campo. We were at the Lost Lagoon for a barbecue competition. We ended up showing up on Thursday, right?
Yep.
And that place is awesome.
Real nice.
Super nice. So, I almost couldn't believe how much I enjoyed being there, to be 100% honest. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about today was our experience there, because as business owners and people who are aspiring to have a really good business, and these guys killed it.
Yeah, they're extremely helpful.
Yeah. So the owner, his name is Steven Lucas, Mr. Lucas. And that dude and his wife were over the top helpful. So we ended up renting, it's called a penthouse. It's not like an actual penthouse, but it's called Perry's Penthouse. We ended up renting Perry's Penthouse over there for Thursday through Sunday. And, you know, we were actually worried in the beginning, like, where are we going to cook? Because all the other cooks had RV spots. And the owner, Steven, came out, and the cool thing about it is they're driving around on those little two-wheel things.
I don't even know what those are called, but
I don't know either. You guys in the comments probably know what they are. It's just...
like you stand on it,
standing
and
on
you kind of go forward.
Exactly. You go forward, but the owner's like zipping around throughout the whole site.
Yeah, a lot of the staff is...
Yes, picking up trash, using the leaf blower, all sorts. We're like, what is going on? But these guys were so awesome. This guy lent me his 50 amp plug for my trailer. We didn't have to use a generator. They let me set up right underneath the penthouse. Grateful. Super duper awesome. If you guys are ever considering going anywhere in Texas with your RV to have some fun with your family, El Campo, Lost Lagoon. This is not sponsored. We truly had an amazing time. And we saw the owners. We saw how they acted. And we were just like, dude, we have to talk about this, because it was one of those things that's like, it's inspiring to see people.
We wouldn't have expected he was the owner. He was out there working. I mean, it's hot.
He was the one picking up the trash from the dumpster and taking it and dumping it and then bringing it back on a forklift. Like, awesome stuff. And when we talked to him, he's like, dude, I'm here 7 days a week, brother. And he tasted our barbecue. He was eating our chicken, loved our chicken. He tasted the ribs, loved the ribs. Now the judges didn't, but hey, I'll take it all day, because, kind of, I guess, to move on just a little bit. Well, we'll go back. I mean, if you guys are ever in the area, absolutely.
Well, for those who don't know, it's like a giant RV park. There's, I don't even know, what would you say, like,
I think
spots?
No,
not that many.
No,
more.
250 probably. RV slots, gigantic pool. They're adding more pools.
Yeah, there's like one pool that has like a giant obstacle course.
Yep.
On the water.
Yep, which we didn't get to go in because it's only open on Saturday, I think.
And our kids are scared.
Well, yeah, our kids are
small.
And also we're competing in a barbecue competition, but it was so hot I was like looking at that pool.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm about to jump in that thing and forget these ribs. They're going to do bad anyway. Didn't know that at the time, but yeah, I mean, so just Lost Lagoon in El Campo, Texas, an incredible place to be.
And not just the owners, but the lady who was inside helping us.
Yeah, when we first got there, that lady was so awesome. I wish I had her name. I mean, like I said, not sponsored.
She knows who she is if she ever watches.
Yeah,
hopefully.
If anyone from the Lost Lagoon ever watches this podcast, truly from the bottom of our heart and souls, we're going to go back every year, every opportunity we get. We had a blast. Your staff, everything there was incredible. So I just, like I said, not really something that I thought we would talk about on this podcast, but I knew we had to, because it was just amazing.
Well, and we had some trouble getting our canopy out.
Oh my
and
gosh.
The owner was actually very helpful when I came back from awards. Him and your dad were talking, so I'm assuming he helped him out.
Just truly the nicest dude. Nicest dude. And when you know somebody's super successful like that, the whole park was full.
Yeah.
When you know someone super successful like that, you kind of, it's not even that you don't think they're going to be amazing people, but you just, sometimes, I don't know how to explain it, but they were incredible people, and we could probably talk about it the whole episode, but we'll go ahead and move on. So what's on the agenda for today? What are we talking about?
So at the resort in El
Mhm.
Campo, we were competing in a barbecue contest.
We were?
So that's what we're moving into right now.
Okay. Yeah, so
Friday, yeah, so we got there Thursday,
Mhm.
and that was just pretty much a day to relax because the kids come with us.
Yeah.
And they stay with us for the whole competition pretty much. So they can't go off and swim by themselves, right? So
Yeah.
we came in early Thursday.
Yep.
Kids got to swim and have fun, and Friday as well. But Friday's the day towards the afternoon we typically start,
Injecting and
and
doing stuff like that, yeah.
setting up,
Mhm.
and then on to Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we woke up at 5:20, started our drums, and, you know
Typically, I'm not able to
Yeah.
get out there that early because we're staying in a hotel. But since we were right there,
Yeah.
I was able to come out and start filming.
Yeah, and then Dad was there, so Dad was awake while the kids were asleep, and he made sure that everybody was okay. So, yeah, I mean, we woke up early, we started the drums, and, everything felt good. I mean, I felt like our times were good. We didn't have any major issues or anything like that. Now, the one thing I will say, and I don't know if you're going to put it in the video. I don't think we should, because I think maybe I'd use some inappropriate words, but I forgot a water pan in our in our rib drum. And
Right.
I was so curious. I was like, what is going on? These got to color really, really quickly.
Right.
We have to wrap these. And it was after like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told you, I was like, hey, I'm going to do something different when we put the wrapped ribs back into the drum.
Yeah, you lifted the lid and you're like, all right, guys, I'm going to do something different today. And then stopped and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, and I realized I forgot to put the water pan.
Right.
So we got to temp a lot quicker. I'm sorry, we got to color a lot quicker. And the focus was color yesterday. And I think we did really good because
Yeah, I don't think it affected the color too much.
I don't think it did, but I do think it affected a little bit on the bottom side. There was a little bit of char down there. I didn't want quite that much, but, it kind of is what it is. It was a mistake, though. And those, unfortunately, are not really mistakes you want to make, especially when, you spend a lot of money going to contests. You buy really nice racks of ribs. You take a long time trimming, injecting, seasoning everything, and then you mess up like that. And it's not a great feeling, but I did actually really, really, truly like our ribs yesterday.
Yeah, ironically, we were worried that, okay, well, we forgot the water pan. These are cooking too fast. What if
Yeah.
they're done too early? What if they're overdone? And then,
Yeah,
I mean, we thought they were pretty
Yeah.
tender, but
Yeah.
apparently not.
So I guess just to give the results, we ended up getting 14th place chicken, 40th place ribs,
22nd place pork.
22nd place pork, 9th place brisket, 16th overall out of 65 teams. And 65, I'm talking hard-hitting teams.
Right.
LC Barbecue was there. He actually got grand champion, perfect score on brisket. Chicken Fried Barbecue was there. Rio Valley Meats was there. Sure Shot Barbecue was there. Twisted Flames was there. I mean, even the owner himself was like, dude, these are like some of the best cooks in Texas. Now, granted, there are some that didn't come. I know a lot of great cooks in IBCA that, like Bo, Blake, just lots of good cooks out there. But it was a hard field, and while the competitive side of me is obviously disappointed that we didn't go first grand champion, realistically, we did not do horrible.
Right.
16th out of 65 is not a bad placing at all, but it's just not where we want to be. And, it's, it is a disappointing weekend at the end of the day for me. And I am excited to go to the next one because the only way we're going to get better is by continuing to go, trying to evolve, try different things if we need to. And
Yeah, I mean, the part that's a little disappointing to me is like the 40th ribs, right?
yeah,
I mean, if we would have just done a little bit better, we
we've
would have
been in
been
top 10.
up in the standings.
Yeah, we probably, even if we would have gotten like a 20th place ribs, I think we could have been in the top 10 because we were 16th.
And it's hard because ribs is something that I feel like we typically do very well
Strong.
in.
I mean, we're strong.
Right.
So up until 2 events ago, we hadn't gotten outside of top 10 in ribs all year long.
Right.
We had a streak where we went first, third, second, third. I mean, strong on our ribs. We're not changing our recipe or anything like that. I will say this past weekend we did do a few things differently. Obviously, now I regret it because it's not the exact rib that we always do. But do I think it was so different that it was going to make a world of difference? Truthfully, no, I don't. So, yeah, I mean, disappointing for sure. But, I mean, what do you do? You know, literally right now in Texas, one of the best cooks, LC Barbecue. I mean, we saw a couple events back. He didn't walk in anything, right?
Right.
It's just
that?
that was the watermelon festival, Hempstead, and that does not take away from how good he is. That dude is insane. Like, it's almost like you just, as funny as it sounds, I love Co Wetzel now because of LC, because I heard his song so many times already. I was like, what is that song? So,
right, and so for those who don't know, in CBA, you get to pick a song. So when they're calling the placings for each category, it'll play your song, and that's how you know, okay, well, that's me. I got 10th or I got 7th.
Yeah, so ours is Here We Go Again by Floyd Wonder, which, in my opinion, is an amazing walk-up song. It's, like, perfect for it. And we love hearing that song, but we also hear Something to Talk About by Co Wetzel a lot because
we've got some of these songs in our heads now because these people get called a lot.
Yeah, so that right there is LC's, and it's also his son's.
Mm-hmm.
And his son is a really good cook. Yeah, he gets called a lot too. So we're always hearing Something to Talk About by Co Wetzel, and now I like Co Wetzel because I started listening to that song and it's recommended me different Co Wetzel songs. And now I'm like, I love Cabo. We won't talk about Co Wetzel too much, but yeah, that dude is incredible. Congrats to him for winning this past weekend. And Mullet Shakers Barbecue ended up getting RGC, which in CBA, it's crazy because they did get a couple of calls, but I was positive Sure Shot was going to get RGC.
Right, like I didn't even remember really Mullet Shakers getting their calls.
Yeah.
But, that happens. That was Wharton, actually, I believe, is where LC got reserve grand. Was that it? And he only got like one he got top 10 call.
No, he got 2 top 10 calls that day. He got a top 10 chicken, a 10th place chicken, and I believe he got like a 7th place rib.
Right, and those seem low, but overall, if he got 11th through 15th or something in the other categories, that can put you up there.
And that's the thing, when you have so many teams like that, even if you get a first place in something, doesn't necessarily mean you're taking it. We got first place ribs in Wharton.
Right.
With, 65, 70 teams or whatever it was there, and we ended up getting 10th place.
Right.
So, I mean, that does not put you there necessarily. You have to be consistent.
Right.
And I was talking to somebody about scoring this past weekend because they're like, man, I had all 9s and 10s and a few 8s. And I'm like, yeah, but, and Bill Purvis actually told me this personally. He goes, yeah, but where did you get those 9s? Where did you get those 8s?
Right.
You got them on taste and texture. Unfortunately, that puts you in a very, very bad spot.
Right, because it's all weighted. Weighted.
It's weighted, right. Not a multiplier, it's weighted. So appearance is the least amount of weight. Right. Taste and texture, those are going to be higher weighted. So if you get 8s on those, that brings you down hard.
Right.
You would rather have an 8 on appearance. You don't want any 8s, but you'd rather have an 8 on appearance because it's less weighted, and then get 10-10 on taste and texture. But it's hard, and what we're doing right now is we're putting ourselves out there, and we're actually trying our best to go out to these events where we know these events are big and there's going to be big names there.
Yeah, we want to compete against higher level competitors.
Yeah, I mean, and the awesome thing about these big ones is we're basically going to the ones where we know for sure that people are going to be, because the last couple we've gone to have been in that Texas Chrome series, which just ended. But we know they're going to be there because they're chasing those points, right? Mm-hmm. And that's basically why we're choosing those events. And it's the same thing every time I look at any IBCA event. Like, where is Bo Daniels going to be? Where's Blake Schindel going to be? Even our friend Zach, where's he going to be, right?
Right.
Because all are good cooks, and I want to beat them because it's all friendly. We're all friends. Like, I consider myself friends with Bo. Obviously, I'm friends with Zach. I'm becoming, and I'm starting to know LC a lot more, Chicken Fried a lot more. I want to go see them and hang out with them and say hi, but, like, I also want to beat them. I want them to know we were there. And that's just the competitive side of it, right? And I promise you, they would say the same exact thing. There's no hard feelings when it comes to that. Like, I just got off the phone with Kevin. Our pits are burning, like, literally seconds before we started this podcast. The dude is absolutely tearing it up out there, and he's calling me, asking me, hey, how'd you do this weekend? And what do you think you could do better? Hey, why don't you try this? Nothing huge. He's not giving me everything, but he's like, hey, why don't you try this instead of that, or this instead of that, or use your sweeter rub instead of the spicy rub. Just a lot of good people out there in the barbecue community. It's really, really cool to see the evolution from when we started. And it's like, last year we went to the one in Ingleside. We were hanging out with Rini, basically, but all those other guys, they weren't really talking to us or anything. But now, I mean, we're around a little bit more, so we're making friends, and we have people that are there, and we're spending some time with, and it's just really fun. It's really cool.
I love to see, like Thursday or Friday, when everybody's setting up, and you've got, everybody coming around to say hello, or, it's the friendly trash talk sometimes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of it. It's fun too, though.
And then you have a lot of people also coming and stopping by on Saturday, like, okay, how did your stuff turn out? They're genuinely, like, concerned for, hey, how did you do?
For sure. It's funny because I love, like, all of my best friends, they know this about me. I love to talk crap with them, but I don't like to do it at barbecue competitions because I just don't, I don't know. I can't, it's hard for me to do that. But, like, it's funny. So Love Barbecue was driving by. Shout out to Love Barbecue. And so we're staying in the penthouse, right? Penthouse. It sounds like, oh my gosh, this is what's extravagant. It was very beautiful, but it's not like.
It's their main building had like a second floor where there was 2 rooms and
and that's where we stayed. So we had our own private little balcony area, and on Friday morning, we're hanging out. We're outside. We're actually hanging out with Smoking Los, shout out, and we see Love Barbecue drive by, and he goes, "Man, that's where you look down on all of us peasants, huh? From up there in your penthouse." And it's just, again, that camaraderie, that trash talk that makes it really fun to go to barbecue contests. At some point, you start to look forward to it. You're like, man, I can't wait. Like, even I have a buddy, Trent, and I've seen him at so many events now, and it's like, you're friends. You want to go see them. You want to go beat them, but you want to see them do good too. So it is a crazy dynamic to have going to these competitions because you are having a blast. But at the same day, I am not satisfied with the way that we did this weekend.
Right.
It's just, that's my nature. We do definitely need to make sure that we're not missing little things like the water pan. I mean, come on.
Well, and I think it's so funny because anytime we do well in ribs and pork, we tend to not do well in chicken and brisket. Anytime we do well in chicken and brisket, we tend to do not well in ribs and pork. And that's the same thing that happened this weekend is we did, and it's better for chicken. Yeah. We're doing better.
For sure.
But yeah, we did pretty decent with chicken and did well on brisket and then fell off in our porks.
Yeah, but we talked about it and we made up our minds. We are going to try our best to simplify our process.
Right.
And by that, I mean, we're going to stop focusing on probably pulled and probably wings. And we're going to we told ourselves we were going to do this and we kind of didn't. Well, I didn't, and I'll take the blame for it. We decided if our burnt ends aren't perfect, we're not putting them in the box. And we did it anyway. Now, we did hit a 9th brisket, but let's just say somebody grabbed one of those burnt ends and they didn't like it and that score kind of drops down a little bit. What if we could have, I'm not saying that we would have, but what if we could have won if we didn't have the burnt ends in there because the slices were fire.
Yeah, the slices were very good.
They were money. I mean.
But and our burnt ends, for anyone who watched the video, our point was very oddly shaped. We could only get a couple out of them. And then, out of the few that we could choose from, a couple weren't, up to par.
And I'll say this much: next time we have a situation like that, we need to just grab the camera, even if it's like we don't get the whole situation happening, but to show. I bought a Snake River Farms brisket, super nice brisket. For whatever reason, I mean, the point was tiny.
It looked like a piece of skirt steak or like a tri-tip.
100%. And when I was trimming it, I don't know if you remember, I was trimming it. I kept going down and down and down on the fat, and I finally hit the flat. And you were like, "That's the flat," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is the flat. Like, where is this point at?" But it was weird because when I looked at that brisket, remember, I may have not said anything, but I promise you I was thinking it. One side of the brisket did look weird. Almost like, they get the brisket from right here on a cow, and it almost seems as if they maybe took too much or something.
Right.
They maybe went a little bit too much towards the front of it. I don't know, but something seemed off about it, and it just definitely wasn't. I've never seen a point come out like that ever, and so it did affect us a little bit, but we need to stop forcing it. I think we're trying too hard. Yeah, I just think we're trying a little bit too hard to force it in there.
Like, for example, with our chicken, I absolutely love the taste of the wings.
For sure.
And I think they add a great look to the box, because when you put those thighs in, you're going to have just extra spots that
it's on the side.
Right. And the wings are perfect to fill it in. But with wings, they have that skin on there that's, a little bit thicker. And by the time these judges are eating their food, there's a possibility that, especially wings, they're smaller, that they're cold.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things that you kind of have to choose. Okay, do I want to go simple and make sure these taste good, or do I want to try and make it look good? And then, appearance doesn't weigh as much.
Yeah.
So I think if one of those things, if you're not doing well in competition as far as taste and texture, stop worrying so much about the appearance. Try and focus a lot on that taste and that texture.
Well, you know this just as well. You know this. We want our food to look as good as possible every single time. We are heavily, heavily, heavily focused on the appearance of our food. And in our head, it's like, well, you eat your eyes first, right? You do, for sure. But you also don't want to overdo it. I'm not saying we're necessarily overdoing it, but obviously something's not really, like, to me, that rib box looked almost perfect.
Right.
And now you never know what could have happened on the transfer from, but did they open the box in front of you? Did you see the ribs?
No.
Yeah.
So there's some competitions where they will do that and count and make sure you have for IBCA, where they're going to count and make sure you have the correct number of slices. But for CBA, they really don't, because it doesn't really matter how much you put in there, and you can box it however you want.
Yeah. And the thing is, you never know. In the transfer.
Or even when lifting.
Yeah. A rib could have fallen over. That could have been why we didn't get a 10. I don't know. But, either way.
That's why you really don't. You want your box to look good, but you can't.
That's not you. That shouldn't be your full focus.
Right.
For sure. Tenderness. We got one comment on our ribs that they were rough. I think they meant tough, but it said rough. It 100% said rough. And then the other one said a bit chewy. Right. So obviously the texture for two judges wasn't there.
I think it was the same judge, actually.
No, because
they just wrote two notes, maybe.
Well, because it said judge 1 and then judge 4.
Oh, that's right.
So it was two different judges. And when you have two different judges that are complaining about that, not good. Right. But
they weren't hard or just.
We took those
bones ribs past out of it. Yeah.
We took those ribs past 210 degrees. They were super tender when I bit it. Super duper, super tender. But it's okay. It's only okay if we take what happened this weekend and learn from it and try and get better. If we don't, then it's not okay.
It's hard because you want to. I love that with CBA you have these notes from the judges, especially if you're not doing well. Yeah. If they give you some sort of
for sure,
criticism that you can go off of to change for the next one. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to change everything you're doing based off of what one person. Because, for example, with our chicken, we had some pretty high scores, and then there was judge number 1 that the taste was, they gave us a 10, but on appearance and texture,
they gave us 8s.
They gave us 8s,
which is bad.
Right. But then you have that one judge who their appearance they didn't seem to like, and the texture they didn't really care for. But all the other judges were giving us, 10s or maybe 1 or 2 9s.
Yeah.
So it's hard to just base all of your changes off of that like one negative, and that's kind of like with everything in life, right? You tend not to listen to the positive things, but it's that one negative that like is holding you back.
Well, I mean, it's like with YouTube too, right? We get a million, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Then you get that one, man, that sucked. Like, oh, you focus on that one. It's just human nature. You're right. But like I said, it's okay because I do believe that I know who you and I are. We're going to try learning from that, and we're going to continue to try and get better, and that's all that we can do. I always try and remind myself and focus on the fact that this is our first year going hard for comps.
Right.
And grateful. I'm seriously grateful to God that we can do them as much as we're doing them. And also I'm thankful that we've gotten an award at every single event we've gone to this year.
Right.
Every single event. I was really scared that was going to end this weekend after we got 3 no calls.
Mm-hmm.
But we ended up pulling out a 9th brisket, so I'm super grateful and happy that we're able to do that. And people knew that we showed up. That's the biggest thing with this brand that we're trying to build. People knew that we were there, and I think that's good for us. Next event, let's go for 2, 3, 4 calls. I mean, obviously, that'd be the most ideal situation. But, just grateful and thankful that we're able to continue to do this. And we have a couple new ones coming up. We have a couple of events coming up that we're really excited about. There's going to be some in our town that we're excited about 2 in 1 month. So we won't have to travel as much, and we just continue to try and get better. That's all we can do.
And so what are some things that you based off of this competition that we just did, what are some things you do want to maybe change for the next one?
Yeah, so I definitely want to change our sauces. I definitely want to change our sauces, and the reason I say that is because I feel like what we're using, it comes out a little bit too light. I want a little bit more of a red. I want a little bit more of a shimmery shine on the meat if we can get it. But that's the thing. What do we get? What do we buy? What do we try? That's just my initial thought, right? So that's what I'm going for. That's my biggest thing. And I think the other thing that I want to try changing is kind of like we talked about, just don't overthink this. Let's put in what we know is good. I know those brisket slices were fire. We had 10 that were very, very good we could have gotten from.
Right.
We could have put 10 in the box, turned it in. I think those are my biggest things. I do want to try looking for some different sauces. We have a couple of weeks to do so. Our next event is a KCBS. So there's going to be some certified judges, but I don't know if all of the judges are going to be certified.
Right. And so let's talk about what's the difference between the KCBS and the CBAs and IBCAs.
Yeah, so IBCA, you are only turning in 3 meats. On the chicken, you're turning in 1/2. You're turning in 8 ribs that have to be horizontal to the lid. And then you're also turning in 8 slices of brisket. Same thing. CBA, you're adding in pork. On chicken, you can turn in thighs, wings, legs. You can't turn in shredded or anything, but you have to turn in at least for 6 judges. So you got to think 6 thighs, 6 wings, 6 whatevers you want to. You can also do a half. That's completely fine. Basically, they're counting that as 6 judges can get from that half. Right. They can eat from it.
And you can add more.
Yeah. So we did.
It's in the box.
We did a half wing and a leg one time. We didn't do that great, but I thought the box looked really, really good. So that's the major differences. In CBA, I feel like there's a lot more freedom to play with your boxes. And that's why I really like CBA.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to really respect the part of IBCA that everything is the same. So everyone's being judged on the same thing.
Right.
And I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I wish they could be some sort of balance, but it's kind of hard when you give the person the freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing with CBA is you only have an hour between turn-ins, where IBCA, you have an hour and a half.
Right, so 12, 1:30, and 3.
12, 1:30, and 3 for IBCA, 12, 1, 2, 3 for CBA. Now, KCBS is a different demon, and one we haven't stepped in front of yet, but we're about to. 30 minutes between each turn-in, 12, 12:30, 1, 1:30.
Right.
6 minimum slices or pieces in every box, and we also have to add the garnish.
Right, like
so we're going to put
parsley or the
kale, parsley, whatever. We're going to have to build that for our boxes now, which is going to be way different than what we've ever done.
Which I think will be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
For me, at least. I think that.
Yeah, because that's...
The boxes
that's gonna be
looking nicer.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be your job, or, you're pretty much in charge of... even when it comes to boxing, you kind of tell me how you want it, and we make a decision based off of that. Even if I'm putting it in the box, it's pretty much your decision. I mean, that's the way we've been doing it. And I'm super excited about doing a KCBS. Super excited. The other day, they put out a little short video that showed all the teams that are going. There's some heavy hitters going. There's going to be over 120 teams from what I was told this past weekend. Mm-hmm. So we're excited about the KCBS for sure. And I think that it's going to be a blast. We'll obviously be able to talk about that a little bit more, but KCBS is going to be different for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the not regular competitions, but IBCA and CBA, those tend to go by fast as well.
This one's gonna be crazy.
IBCA is I think the slowest because you have all that time between. CBA, Saturday went by super fast. We were up at 5 in the morning, and the last turn-in's at 3, and it's flying by. Yeah, but this is going to be even faster. I mean,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be wild in a good way, in a fun way. It's not going to be something we can't handle, but we are going to have to adjust, and we're going to have to make some changes. We're going to have to start much, much earlier. We're going to need our brisket done before we turn in chicken, our pork done before we turn in chicken, our ribs done before we... Everything needs to be in the Campo resting.
Right.
And then we need to do things quickly, really, really quickly.
Because we take sometimes, 30 to 45 minutes to start the process for brisket, for ribs. Right. So, and it might be something where we're each having to tackle something.
For sure. And Dad's going to have to help too, probably. I mean, he's going with us, so he's going to probably have to do something on himself.
We might miss some shots.
Yeah, I know. So, yeah, if you guys watch that video and we don't have it perfect and we don't have everything for it, we're sorry. We're going to do our best. I even told Sabrina I might go buy one of the chest mounts, and I can walk around with our DJI and hopefully get some shots, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. I mean, at least with CBA, we can set up and talk about, we just turned in chicken. We just turned in this, whatever.
Right.
It's going to be hard with KCBS, but we're going to do our best to bring you guys a good video for that one. And again, if I haven't said it enough already, I'm super excited for that one.
Yeah. I mean, even if we just press play and then let it go and keep going, as long as the batteries don't die.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can, because it is that short window.
Yeah.
So.
30 minutes. 30 minutes is crazy.
Yeah.
Because basically, when you turn in chicken, you're working on ribs. When you turn in ribs, you're working on pork.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. But like I said,
the challenge is going to be interesting and exciting.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we don't miss a turn in, I'm going to be happy. I promise. Now, I'll be happy until awards, and then if we don't get anything, then I'll be, how I am. But hey, I promise I'm going to be super excited and happy to do that one. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. So, I say let's move on to our questions.
Yeah. So I put out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube if you guys had any questions, and I'm super grateful that you guys did have some questions. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of those today, and I'm going to answer them as best as I can. And if you guys have any questions for the next one, just put them in the comments right now, and we'll do our best to tackle all of them. I'm not promising we're always going to get to every single one of them, especially if we do get a lot of questions. But we're going to do our best to tackle all of them, so yeah.
I mean, and there's also been some very interesting questions that we may not be able to fit all of them, so if we don't get to it, we might always feature it on the next one.
Absolutely.
Right. So we're going to start with Doug Peterson. He said, Alonzo, keep up the good work. What are some of your kids' favorite and least favorite barbecue foods that you've made?
So my kids love, they could eat steak probably 3 times a week.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we introduced them to prime steak, and they know the difference now.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that one's not
Penelope especially.
Penelope.
That one wasn't very juicy.
Yeah, no, Penelope knows. She's smart now. So my kids love steaks.
For her birthday last year, that's what we ate for dinner.
For her birthday last year, we bought a
14, 15, 16 of us.
Yeah, we bought a huge prime ribeye roast, and I cut it into ribeye steaks and cooked like 16 of them for her birthday. I'm like, oh my gosh, what 6-year-old wants this?
Yeah, this year she's debating on steaks or spaghetti.
Oh yeah, but she's gonna change her mind. She doesn't know. We just went to Prosec's today and had a cream cheese Danish, and now she wants cream cheese Danishes for her birthday. Like that's her thing. But so steaks, I would say my kids love steaks. Penelope really loves pork.
She loves the money mussels.
Yeah, a lot of all of my kids love brisket too. So, but I would say steak is number one for sure. And really, when it comes to what they don't like, I think it's just like weird exotic stuff that we've tried, which hasn't been that much, but
or anything like vegetable.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I was gonna say. So sometimes we've made like stuffed meats or something, and they're not really into
Buffers,
that. Yeah,
too spicy for them.
Yep, but I would say grilled veggies pretty much for the most part. They're not messing with that, but steak.
She loved the bacon wrapped pickles.
Yeah, the bacon wrapped pickles were really, really good actually.
But they love ribs, chicken. They've been really into chicken wings right now.
Yeah,
which I didn't think would happen because of the bone.
Yeah,
but they've been really into that.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely the money mussels, brisket,
steak,
for
sure.
Yep, pork chops. She likes pork chops too.
Yeah.
She loves most it's funny because they're so picky.
Oh yeah,
but
picky.
They love expensive barbecue cuts.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't, right? You can't blame them.
Yeah. I don't really know what else would be the least favorite that we made. They pretty much tried everything.
Yeah, and for the most part, not to be like that, but they definitely like most of the stuff we make.
Yeah. But they're honest. They're honest. But we do have to sprinkle that base on like literally everything.
Everything.
So, I mean, after you slice that steak up, she's got to sprinkle.
Yeah, she's addicted to that stuff.
And everybody does it now.
Yeah.
But pork chops, everything. I need a little base sprinkled on. Where's the base at?
Yep.
Okay, our next question is from Chance Vernon, and he said, if you had to build your all-time barbecue plate / platter, what would it include? Sides, beverage, the whole shebang.
Oh, man, that's a tough one. That's a hard one. So, man, all-time favorite.
Mine would probably be, I'd probably want a baked potato.
Mm-hmm.
I think turkey is a must because it's very underrated and typically very good.
I agree.
Now, this is assuming that wherever I'm eating at is, like, spot on.
Yeah.
But I would say that beef rib is like number one. Beef rib to me is better than brisket. If they didn't have beef rib, I would settle for brisket. But pork ribs, but I prefer more of a dry rub rib, not a saucy. I'm not a big sauce person. I'm more open to sauce now that we compete, but I wouldn't go for a saucy rib.
Yeah.
On a everyday basis.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I do like at Tuttle's. I'm always eating a half chicken.
Yeah.
Smoked chicken.
They make really good half chicken there. Yeah, that comes out super juicy and everything. I like their pork steak.
That one's good.
I don't know what, like, I love getting double pork steak and pickles. Just eating it like that. It's just so good. But if I had to choose mine, you didn't do sides.
Oh, sides. I mean, I typically I like coleslaw.
Yeah.
I like
disgusting. So nasty.
I like a good potato salad that's more mayonnaise based. I'm not a big mustard.
Gosh. We're way opposite on that too. I'm a huge mustard based guy on the potato salad. My mom makes the greatest in the world.
Yeah, I mean I like the mustard, but I like to lean more towards the mayonnaise. I like a good red potato salad as well.
Oh my gosh. We're disagreeing heavily here.
I'm not a pickles and onion person either. I like pickles, but not like with my barbecue. I won't eat it on bread, but yeah, I mean, I like the green beans if they're good, or maybe beans or something. But
yeah, so I think mine, if I had to choose an all-time platter, it actually would be smoked turkey. I would do spare ribs, beef ribs. I mean, typically I'm getting like a 3-meat plate everywhere we go.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it sounds basic, but man, throw me some macaroni and cheese.
Yeah.
I do like a good green beans, especially if it has like tomatoes, onions, bacon in there, a little garlic, delicious. And then for a beverage, man, we live in Texas. Throw me a sweet tea. I know you don't like sweet tea, but throw me a sweet tea. To me, if you make a fire sweet tea, the barbecue's probably going to be real good.
Right.
It's just like a Texas thing, right? We love our sweet tea down here. So throw me a sweet tea if I'm at a barbecue joint, for sure.
I love when a good barbecue places have good sides and good desserts, because a lot of the times they're not. Oh, they're what was it? The corn, like a corn pudding or some sort of corn casserole. That was very good,
dude. So honestly, I guess I'll also say it the way you said it. If the place is on point, yeah, I'm probably throwing that corn casserole in there.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff was so money. It was like a Mexican street corn casserole.
Right.
So fire.
Yeah.
So good. But yeah, I mean, if we're just going basic stuff, mac and cheese, green beans, like I said, sweet tea. Throw me a sweet tea for sure.
Yeah. Okay, our next question is from Daryl Delancey, and he said, is it always peace and harmony with you guys, or do you find yourselves butting heads a bit with ideas? My wife and I usually do some good head butting when we do our pop-up. Working with your spouse is difficult at times. It's a great question.
Yeah, this is a great question, Daryl. Shout out. Yeah, Sabrina and I are both very, very similar, and we're both very like-minded, and we're both very, I mean, Sabrina, for the most part, like around other people, she might not seem like real dominant and like she talks a lot or anything, but she's very strong and stern in the way she feels, for sure. At least I feel that way. So yeah, we butt heads a lot. Like,
we do the whole, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, we do. So honestly, I would say we butt heads probably, I mean, every video idea, every video, every podcast.
Oh yeah, there's been things that you've suggested. I'm like, and it's not that I think it's a terrible idea, but I'm like, I don't know if that's what people want to see.
Yeah.
And then you do it, and it's just
our most viral video. Literally, I have to say this one.
Yeah.
Our most viral video that has like 1.5 mil on YouTube. Literally, I told Sabrina I wanted to do it because I had been seeing everybody do it on TikTok.
Right.
And she's like, no, I don't
know if that's going to be good for long form content.
She's like, that's not going to be a good video. And I was like, well, I have this idea where we can make it, and I do think it's going to be good, but then we can try and make it better after we taste it for the first time. The premise of the video was, hey, let's try this together.
Yeah.
And see what we can do to make it better. And I think we did that. And yeah, Sabrina and I butt heads on a lot of things. And I'm not exaggerating. It never gets bad or anything, but we pretty much disagree on.
Even for example, I mean, like you said, we're so much alike in many ways, but we're also different in our preferences. Like our dream barbecue platters would be way different, right?
I like sauce on a rib.
Yeah.
I'm not tripping on the sauce. I'm not tripping on a sauce rib at all. A lot of people say good barbecue doesn't need sauce. I mean, dude, I disagree. I like
sauce as long as it's more on the savory side.
I don't think it needs it, but a good sauce cannot make a good barbecue worse.
Right.
I'll never, ever understand that. A good sauce can never make good barbecue worse. That's just my opinion. Now, I'm not saying to drown it in it, even though sometimes we do at competitions if we feel like that's the right thing to do, but we're just trying to play a game. That's all we're trying to do. But yeah, so to answer that question, yes, we disagree a lot. We headbutt a lot. And a lot of the ideas that we have, we change our minds all the time because one of us doesn't agree or the other one doesn't like that or likes that. Or, we get into it all the time.
But I mean, I think to make our business work, you have to compromise and say, hey, we need to just try this because we won't know. You think in your head right now, I don't know if that'll work, but you're not going to know unless you try.
But at the same time, I'll say this. If we're not arguing, we're not thinking.
Right.
If we're not thinking, we're not evolving. So, I mean, I think it's good that we have arguments and we get into it and then we talk about it later and we're like, look, I don't think that's the best idea for us right now, or that video is not a good idea, or why are we trying to shoot this video on this day right after we just shot a video the day before, or just whatever it is.
I mean, and also you have to remember that even though it's not the idea you would have had or the path you would have gone, I mean, the other person has a lot of insight. I mean, there's been times when I thought, I don't really think that's a good idea. And then you hear what you have to say and we go through it and I'm like, man, that was a really good idea. Like, I'm glad we went through with that.
Or there's been a lot of times where we are not sure about a recipe, we make it and we're like, dude, that was truly incredible.
Right.
Like, we have to put this video out. even if it doesn't get that many views, we have to tell people what this was about. And that's why we do this. That's literally why we do this, because there's a lot of people out there that maybe don't have the confidence to go in their backyard and cook a steak or a brisket, or they don't know what seasonings to try. And not even that it's only ours. Just try something. Just do it. Just get out there. Have fun.
Right. And I think as long as you're not getting into it to the point of it turning hateful, then I mean it's
Sabrina and I have probably only been in like 3 arguments our entire relationship where it was like
all based on what do we have for dinner.
Yeah. But no, I mean, yeah. So yes, we get into it a lot, but it's always because we both want what's best for our company.
Right. It's never against each other.
Yeah. We literally live, breathe, eat, sleep this company along with our kids, along with our family, but we put a lot into this. So yeah, we're always thinking about it and we're always trying to figure out what's the next move.
Our next question is from Zachary Bodie, and he said, first episode was great. The wives always need recognition for what they do.
Thanks, Zach.
What is your most difficult cook, and what have you found that helps with that cook?
Yeah, so I think that the most difficult and obvious answer is brisket.
Right.
Like, I think
that took us a while to
get really good.
Yeah.
And the reason that I think it took a while is because you have to understand so many things about the anatomy of a brisket and why it's doing what it's doing in order to know, like, okay, now I need to wrap it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is the seasoning I use or I don't use or whatever. There's so many things. So, I mean, it took me, I don't know.
Well, and it's such a large piece of meat.
It's
and you don't want to mess it up.
It's expensive.
And then especially, I mean, it's like you're not going to eat that by yourself.
100%.
So usually when you're practicing one, you're cooking it with the idea of that you're going to share this with multiple people and you don't want to get it wrong. So it's like, man, do I pull it yet?
Yep.
Do I take it off yet? I'm feeling it and it's at this temperature, but I'm not too sure. So a lot of the times for someone who's new to making brisket, they're unsure about, do I pull it off? Am I going to overcook it or am I going to undercook it? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think even with our competitions, that's one thing that we thought like, oh, this is good. And even like, man, in my head, I'm like, I don't, just by like looking at you probe it, I don't think that's done.
Yeah.
You know? But it's just trial and error.
For sure. The biggest tip that I would say personally is, now obviously you don't want to go overboard, but I think it is so much better to rather than undercook.
Right.
Now, again, I'm not saying take it to 220 internal and it's mushy.
Yeah.
No. But if you fill your brisket with your probe and it's there, but it's, I don't know. If you have, I don't know in your head for a split second, take it 30 more minutes. 30 more minutes is never going to ruin a brisket. I mean, unless you're already at 250 internal, you ruined that hours ago.
Yeah.
But it's never going to hurt it to the fact where it's like, dude, I just ruined this.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing, is that if you're not probing it and feeling 100% this is done, you need to keep going.
And we've experienced that at the competitions where we're like, we're not sure. And then later on you knew, like when you actually got it, that's what I was looking for.
Well, also, I believe it was our last video. If you go watch, we did a barbecue sandwich. We did a Texas dip. And I show you in that video, I'm probing this with a broken thermopin, but it feels right. It does not matter what the internal temp is. It feels good. And then if you watch the rest of that video, that brisket was cooked perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
It had great flavor. It was perfectly tender. It turned out to be an amazing sandwich. And that's the biggest thing, is that you just have to know when that thing is done. You have to know when to wrap. We do go a little bit more detail on that video, so we could put like a bookmark up here so people can watch that. But just, that's the biggest thing, is brisket. And my biggest tip is, if it doesn't feel like it's done, if you have any doubt in your head, even for a split second, keep going. 30 minutes.
Our next question from Twitter is Jonathan Garcia at John M. Dad. He said, what's the biggest difference between backyard/non-comp barbecue and competition barbecue?
That's a loaded question, but I'll try and answer it real quickly, because basically everything.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
We could spend a whole episode on that, which we probably will.
Yeah, for sure, at some point. So that's a great question. It really, truly is. But my short answer would be everything. And I don't mean to give that answer to be like smart aleck or anything, but truthfully, I mean, I'm brining chicken. I'm injecting chicken.
The trim is different.
The trim is different. Everything is different. But if I could give you one thing that's very, very, very specific, think about it like this. Every single judge has one opportunity to taste your food. One bite. That's it. You have to wow them with one bite. So everything that you do, starting on whatever day you start picking your meat, to trim, to inject, to brine, to season, to sauce, everything is with that in mind. I have one opportunity to impress that one judge. And you also got to think about it. You're sitting at a table with, let's just say, 9 other contestants. Those judges are tasting all of that food in one go.
Right.
So how can you be a little bit different, but not too different to offend anybody? It's such a fun thing to try and perfect because, like we talked about last episode, I don't think we're ever going to perfect barbecue, but it's really, really, really fun trying. So that would be my biggest thing is you have one bite to impress judges. You have to think about everything that you're doing in order to get to that point.
I think one of the biggest differences we see is with brisket. You know, when people see our brisket trim, they don't understand it. For people who don't
that's a flake steak.
Right.
Why are you saucing it? It looks horrible. It looks like crap.
Because they don't understand. You don't want to have to trim off all of this fat in the end. Because you're not going to give a barky brisket to a judge, because if they're using, a fork and a knife, if they get a piece from the end and it's all bark, it could be very unappealing to them. So when we're doing our trim, we're not going to just do a regular backyard trim and then still have to cut off all this stuff just to make it the shape we want to put it in the box.
Well, and then the other thing is with the sauce and the au jus and everything, you have no idea how long it's going to be from the time you turn in to the time that judge tastes your food.
10 minutes, maybe.
The sauce and the au jus helps retain moisture, color, everything.
Right.
There's so much to it. That would be my short answer, is that it's basically everything, and you're thinking about that one bite.
Right. And we probably will do a longer discussion about this in another podcast, Jonathan. So
yeah, great question. It is a loaded question, but if you guys want a full episode on that, we're not the best at this, but I do think we've learned a lot, and I could talk about it for a long time.
Yeah, and hopefully we have some good guests
for sure
on that one to give some insight as well.
I think we will. I think we're starting to line them up. So be on the lookout for that soon.
And our last question of the day is from Chris at Drofer CS.
Yeah.
He said, 10 plus years ago, we were sitting in a basement in Illinois preparing for a video game tournament.
The LAN network. Crazy.
What was the path to where you are now, and do you still game?
Crazy. It's crazy to think about. So Drofer was also a coach in Halo, and I knew those guys for so long. I knew them for so long, and we would always travel to different parts of the states. And one of the places that we would go a lot is Chicago, Illinois, because there was this player, and his name was Tots, and his dad created something called the LAN network. So you remember that because I actually went to Chicago while we were dating, and I stayed at a house where we were LANing downstairs, and everybody was practicing for the next event. So anyway, we won't go into too much detail. We'll answer the question. Basically, from then to now, I feel like where I was at that point in my life was I was having just the time of my life. And now I've taken a lot of what I learned from pro gaming and social media a little bit, and I'm trying to input into what we're doing now. The reason that we stopped doing that was because back in the day there was really no money in gaming, and
wasn't as big as
it wasn't as big. And so back in 2012 we won MLG Columbus, the most insane feeling ever, just about 50-48 over Instinct. I mean, I remember Matt got the final shots on the guy. It was just a crazy day. And so basically I got out of gaming and stuff like that because it just wasn't making money.
Right.
spending
For a young adult, it's like, well, I either move on.
So basically, every time we won prize money, I would just buy something dumb. So that's my own fault. But it wasn't very static. It was real like up and down when you had some money. We were sponsored by Red Bull and everything, so it was insane. We would fly for free and do a lot of stuff for free, but that didn't pay the bills necessarily. Anyway, to answer the question, from where I am then to now, I mean, I'm still trying to do something similar. I'm trying to stay in the space and create content. It's just a different kind of content. It's just something that's revolving around my life. Right. So we do enjoy barbecue. We create content around that, around our kids. And that's just the biggest thing. Yeah, I still game.
Yeah.
Now, do I get to game as much? Nope. But I love playing League of Legends still. I'll play Call of Duty with the boys. I don't play Halo at all anymore, but I do watch all of the events. So 2 of my favorite people that I met through the space were Matt and PJ. They're on a team called FaZe Clan, and I still text with them regularly. I always watch them. I always cheer them on, and I always hope that they win. I have a lot of friends in the space still that I talk to. Flamesword, Mike, still a good friend of mine. Cleet. I still get to talk to all those guys all the time, and it's really cool. But it's just, without saying it in a weird way, I guess I just grew out of it, grew up.
Right. I think it's like that phase where like you're young and you want to do what's fun and what you're passionate about, but then it's like, well, shoot, now I have to start paying for things, right? So then you try to move on to something more structured, I guess, in the job world. Yeah,
but if I would have stuck it out, you never know, because that was, where gaming is now. My gosh.
Yeah.
But I'm happy where we're at now.
But that's the thing now is I think you found something that you're like passionate about again.
For sure.
And now we're in a place where like you see how possible it is to make your passions your reality.
Yeah.
Dreams your reality.
And we won't stop till we make it. That's just to leave you guys on a high note. We won't stop till we make it, man. And I hope you guys, whatever you're doing in your lives, don't stop until you make it, until you're satisfied, until you're happy. That's one thing you're going to learn on this podcast. I am a cheese ball. I'm the cheesiest person you'll ever meet. But I'll also, I truly believe that every single one of us can do anything we want in this life. That's why we're sitting here today. And I think we're going to make it one day. So
I think we already have. It's just,
yeah,
it's at a small level.
Yeah, for sure. I'm proud of what we've done. And I know we're going to continue to do big things because of the people that are listening right now, and because we're not going to give up. Our kids won't let us give up. What if we stop cooking barbecue tomorrow? They'd be like, Dad, where's the steak? Sorry, I don't cook anymore. Yeah, right, Dad. Go get a steak. All right. But yeah, so that's going to be a wrap for episode 2. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in on YouTube. If you haven't, I know you might be watching us on YouTube, but if you haven't, we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Amazon and Google Podcasts. So there's multiple different ways that you can listen to this podcast. If you like just listening in your truck, in your car, on the way to work, go for it. We appreciate you guys listening. We're going to sign off for today, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to leave your questions.
Oh, yeah. Leave your questions, and we love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.